table is 1 meter long. But you're not 1 meter away from me. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. This is Amin.
This is Alex.
And today is going to be a special episode. As you can see, we have a guest. He's not from Search.com. And today is interesting because we're going to talk about properties. Okay, so generally property has not much or very little to do with regards to technology, right? Unless you're talking about smart homes and things like that. But it's interesting because we're in a very interesting times. COVID-19 has kind of like thrown a huge spanner to the world, and everything is like halted and changed and stopped and things like that. And a lot of industries and people are affected. Businesses have to close down, shops, people lose their jobs. But I think one of the most impacted industry is the property industry. Simply because the property industry is not really one that adopts technology really quickly. It hasn't changed for the, past 20, 30 years as far as I can remember in terms of how we buy and sell. But there's one company that's looking at shifting that, that's looking at using data and analyzing data and using that to change the way people buy, sell houses and look at the property market in general. So with that, we have our guest, Prem Padmanathan from iProperty. He is the General Manager of Customer Data. And he's going to talk about like how the how the property industry has kind of been impacted by COVID, and maybe show us a light at the end of the tunnel with regards to property. Okay, so Prem, what do you actually do in iProperty?
Thanks, Amin, Alex, for having me here. So in iProperty, right, the term when I say customer data solutions, right? So in other words, I build data solutions for customers. So when you say customers and you think about iProperty, right? So the customers here, when I mention customers, are agents and property developers. While the consumers on the other end are the guys, the traffic which comes to the portal, right? But the ones who pay us for our services are customers, which are agents and property developers. So I come from the background of data in property, where in 2015 I launched bricks.my. So that website talks mainly on one data point, which is transacted property prices, which we get from the Jabatan Penilaian dan Perkhidmatan Harta. So this is official, based on stamp duty paid and MOT, Memorandum of Transfer. So then they record it, we can go and acquire that, and I put it on a website in a way which made sense for people to actually understand transacted property prices. And now it's fully owned by iProperty. Right, fully owned by iProperty, and iProperty's request was like, Prem, what you did with that one data point, can you take all the other data points and help me and help our customers? So that's why I went focused more on customers aspect of it, because they were the touch point in this industry. And because when you mentioned about property, right, and why the industry is, it takes up a bit more slower in the sense of technology and all, versus the other business out there, because eventually, end of the day, right, property is a human business. It's really a human business in the sense like, people say that why can't we just automate everything and all that, like how Uber, it was the biggest company at one time with no cars, and Airbnb was the biggest company with no
everything.
And then Airbnb biggest real estate with nothing to own, all that. But what most people don't understand is this is not a 10-minute drive. This is not a 4-day, 3-night stay, right? They can do all this because, I can make a decision on the website on a 4 days, 3 nights. I can make a decision on an app on a 10-minute drive, but you can't make this kind of decisions on a milestone, which is, a property purchase in there. So I kind of realized that, and that's why what we try to do is, you've heard of a lot of these startups, who like to disrupt. Even they considered me last time as a disruptor for evaluators. But what they don't really understand is that consumers out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, out there, millennials and all that especially, right, they don't want to be told what to do. They want to be given that information to make their own decision. Right? Don't tell me this is good or that is good. Give me the information. Be transparent. Tell me everything, I will make my own decision, you know. So that's what we're trying to do with the property market industry and data, you know, trying to be as transparent as we can and share this information so that they can make that decision. Because end of the day, right, what is the biggest pain point when it comes to buyers and sellers? You know, I've asked maybe thousands already, like people, consumers in the last 8 years, right? The biggest issue, right, for a buyer, right, is am I overpaying? Am I overpaying? You know, I know the location, I know I want to stay here, I want to know that, it's fine, everything I got it. But if someone comes and says this is the price, right, you go like, is this the right price or not, right? On the other end of the spectrum, the seller, am I underselling? So you got two, you know, that he's always worried about, you know what, I'm gonna lose money because when I sell this product, the neighbor's gonna say, oh, you should have sold at, you know, I sold this, my auntie sold it, you know, they all believe on it. So there's got this fear, right, between the buyer and the seller. Who's caught in the middle? Agents. Right? Agents are caught in the middle because they got to negotiate with the seller, they got to negotiate the buyer. And can you imagine, right, not long, just 5 years ago, post 2015, before BRICS came out, right? If someone were to buy a property, right, who do they trust? Most the agent. I mean, you want to say, hey, what's the pricing? Around estimate, around here. Most you go to iProperty, you see the listings, right? And you know, listings, you know, it could be up a bit because they want to have space for negotiation and all that, right? Whereas today, the agent just brings a report from BRICS, shows the seller, this is the pricing. You know, I say, I want to sell for 1 million. Yeah, boss, but then the last 5 transactions was about 900. You know, so maybe you want to reconsider, or why is it you want to go for 1 million? Tell me, help me sell, you know, for this. You got no reason, it's not going to be easy. You know why the agent spends 70% of their time negotiating with the seller? Because if the seller doesn't set the right price, he's going to take a long time to set. The average days on the market is going to be long. And to the agent, as I mentioned to you about the pain point for the buyer and the seller, right? The biggest pain point for an agent, right? People always say, highest commission. You know, they want to get the highest commission. I can tell you, I've spoke to so many agents, seniors, experienced, young guys and all that, right? That was not the biggest pain point. The biggest pain point for them was cash flow. I need cash flow. So we're talking about young agents who are coming out there, the dreams that, oh, real estate, you know, it's going to be fantastic and all that. Not realizing that it's not easy to turn around houses that fast. So when you talk about commissions, right, they get it, it takes like 3 months for one house, 2 months for one house, right? In the meantime, you don't, you know, how are they going to pay for their car installment? You know, how, I mean, most of them don't have rent yet, own a house yet, but no, rent and car installment. So I've met agents who actually sleep in cars in areas where, you know, they don't mind to open door anytime. Anytime, you know, so they are desperate for that because you know why? They can't turn around. They got the wrong inventory. They've got all the listing in this building which no one wanted to buy.
Oh, they got stuck with
They got stuck with that. They said, oh, I thought it was so cheap, you know, no wonder no one was there. No agents was there. I thought there was no data to actually show them where the demand was, where people were looking, where there was oversupply, where the pricing was wrong, you know. And what we understood from the market, right, for an agent to survive on a monthly basis, right, 70% of his listings has to be quick turnaround. Because even if you got 7 out of 10 listings, right, you cannot close 7 in a month, but at least you got 7 listings. The chances of closing 1 or 2 of it in a month is higher. While the other 3 or the 30% can be your bonus lah, that bungalow in Pantai, you know, you want a big commission, right? Might take you 6 months to 12 months to actually, fine, you're going to have a little bonus, but make sure you have what we consider as a high turnaround, high demand products. Products where people generally buy.
High demand, relatively speaking.
Yeah, in that particular area. You know, in Bangsa, high demand is different from, in Rawang, in Rawang or Cheras, right? They are very different. No? But what works there? What works here? This information will help them select the inventory, the starting point of their business. You know, I got to start in the right business, get the right inventory, so that the first few months I can get some money in here. You know, so I just summed up in the sense of like, you know, that's why one of the reasons I was focused on customer was they were the touch points to the buyers and the sellers. You know, so we wanted to provide. We didn't want to cut their legs. You know, we can be a startup and and do things where we go directly to seller. No need to do. There are companies out there, which actually do this, but no one takes responsibility when anything goes wrong, because you got Board of Valuers and real estate agents, Bovia, you got MIEA, who's governing all the rent tax and numbers and all that. Any problems, you can go and complain to them, right? But no one talks about that. They say, start up, no need commission, you come to me straight, iProperty, on the other hand, is we believe that agents is our bread and butter, and so we need to take care of their bread. So we'll provide all this data and tools and all that for them, to help them. But bricks, if I mention bricks, right, it's a consumer front. It's a consumer front, right? But what we do is we provide a lot of training to agents to show them what the data is, to kind of explain to them, this is the data. They don't believe you can go to Brick straight and download it. So we integrated sold data into our app. So on the spot, they can show sellers, like this is the pricing. If you sell this, I can assure you a faster turnaround time and all that. And we've included other data points which I'll share later on. Other tools. Okay. But that's what I do, in the sense of building solutions that's going to help them fast track their career. Because if their career is good, then iProperty's career. If they make money, then we make money.
Okay. Well, that's a very good introduction, because now I really understand what's going on in the property industry. I've always felt that iProperty was going to be a platform where I could buy and sell. It's like a classified, like a car listing website. But now now that you mention it, it's more complex because of the regulators and stuff like that. So I guess iProperty's purpose is not that, right? It's just to continue to drive
like a marketplace for the agents and buyers and sellers.
So it's okay. From iProperty data as well, I think it was your data. There's up and downs, right?
Yes,
recover and recession and then whatever it is. Correct. So I read in a report, iProperty predicted that 2018 was supposed to be the upshift from recession to recovery, but we're now well into 2020, and where a lot of people are still saying that we're still in the recession trend of the property market. So how is data and technology and iProperty is going to help the agents and the developers in terms of moving houses?
Okay, so I think that piece of data, it's a portal demand analytics which compared 2019 against 2018, and it showed positive signs in the sense of demand. Demand was actually growing. So what we are doing in the sense of data is like today in the market, there's a lot of data on supply. You have heard of incoming supply, oversupply, overhang, property market. We're talking about data, right? There's a lot of things about supply. But when you ask someone, what about the demand? How many people want to buy? There's not many people out there who can actually share demand data. So where iProperty came in was where we came up with this proposal, even to the, and which is why one of the stakeholders we're working with is World Bank and also Bank Negara.
Wow.
So they approached us because when we shared that particular data, they said this is what we need. Demand data. So in Malaysia, right, there's like transacted data. It's about 3 to 4 months back behind, because it takes 3 months for stamp duty and there's LHDN and pay and all that, right? So when someone says, hey, Prem, how's the pricing today? No one knows. I say I can only report for you maybe December 2019 data and all that. What iProperty has is, now I can tell you today what people are searching for yesterday. Yesterday. I can tell you the price changes as of 9th of June. As of yesterday. And for rent, this is especially particular for most of the stakeholders out there. No one has rent data.
Oh, interesting.
Rental data. No one has rental data. So that's why we propose, because JPPH has got rent data on tenancy agreements stamped, but not everyone's chopped tenancy agreements. And it's still, they're not able to share that data at the moment. They started a bit. So a lot of people came to us for rental information because we have a huge repository of rental listings out there, So the question was, are people moving to rent? Do millennials prefer to rent versus buy? And all these questions can be answered using what I call portal data. And we recommended to use portal data as one of the data sources to do property market analysis. Not just the single, but combined with all your other data,
Like
the
collated,
government data, use portal data as well, because it's very recent, you know, and it's true customer sentiments, you know, consumer sentiments, you know, whatever they click and all that. So this is where we came up with that report, you know, to actually show people, you know, but it's one sided. It's one-sided. The whole idea of the report was not to go out there and tell developers this is what you're supposed to build. This is what no, it was not that. But you know, when developers do development and all that, they have these valuers doing valuation. They got project marketers, you know, they got project management teams doing the whole requirement study and scoping and all that, right? We told them to have that our report alongside with yours as well before you make a decision. You know what? I'm going to build 500 square feet studio in this place. Just before you do that, right? Just look at this report. This is what people are looking for in this area, you know, and this is what is selling well before you make that decision. So it was more of a supporting tool to help the market to build the right product inside. Because today, right, in Malaysia, one of the things we're lacking with is the access to data. Most recent structured data. Not unstructured, you know, like PDF forms. We have a lot, but like if you think about Singapore and Hong Kong and all this, right? Why? Or people say, I buy today, tomorrow is already. Everyone can actually see it, no? But most people don't understand. People like Singapore and Malaysia, they have got they got only federal. No, they got no state laws. No, they got one law. So anything you do, so you can execute. You know, here in Malaysia, different states got different laws for properties and all that. You know, so it's not as easy. But the government is working towards trying to build one single data point, because you heard about all this oversupply and all that, right? All this oversupply and all that, bottom line, end of the day is what? Lack of data.
So they're making a wrong decision to build the wrong property.
Well, it's based on industry experts, right? So I read a report. The MIEA said that this is now a buyer's market. So the president said that, right? So did he say that on a whim or on a hunch or on what? I mean, because we base it on what he says, right? So is it not, or is it a buyer's market?
When it comes to buyers or sellers market, right? I always tell people it actually is in a general point of view. We can always say something, you know, but it does not apply to all areas. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Like Damansara Heights, it's always a seller's market. Everyone wants to stay, but no one wants to sell. When you want to sell, you control price, because not that one row. There's not like many people is going to sell. So there's maybe one or two sellers. So it's always a seller's market. Taman Tun, TTDI, seller's market. Even though the whole Malaysia can be buyer's market, right? TTDI is a seller's market.
Even at times like this, when and okay, so I guess. A lot of people are oversimplifying things. I mean, you assume that it's gonna be the buyer's market, but you assume that I'm gonna be able to get loans. I wanna spend. But it's not, right?
It's not.
So is that something that you guys are looking into?
Yes. Correct. So supply and demand is something we provide a lot of information on, and that's why it's called portal demand analytics, because it uses supply and demand analysis. So I'll just give you a rough idea what is a buyer's market, what's a seller's market. I think you all know this, right? I mean, a seller's market is basically there are more buyers than there are sellers. So if you think of iProperty, if you were to come in and click on something and search and send an inquiry, you're a buyer, right? That listing which you saw, that is the seller. The listing is the seller. So we are able to do a quick analysis on the total number of sellers versus a total number of buyers.
But that's based on a very, correct me if I'm wrong, that's based on a gross assumption. Because I could be an agent and I could be scouting the market.
So we have a lot of methodologies in place that make sure that this does not happen. Right? For example, our agents are not included, because we have the IP addresses of all their phones, and and then when they log into our system, we actually track that also. So if they come in with that login,
they can differentiate them.
We can differentiate them. That's one. Number two is we only use unique visits. Number three, we weight the visits. I've hired a statistician for this and a mathematician to make sure, because they will train me more on this part. So weighted means to be fair, right? If you were to come in and saw a listing in Bangsa, and then you went to Mont Kiara and saw another listing, that is not 2 visits. Because you're considering 2, I'm giving Bangsa 0.5 and Mont Kiara 0.5.
Basically evaluating.
Weighing, the weighing. If it goes to a third one, now it's 0.33, 0.33, 0.33. It's weighted. It's weighted to be fair on the sense of the consumer side.
Okay, so are you guys the only one that's doing this? Because there's competitors in Malaysia, right? There's
So far, we have seen. We have not seen anyone else doing this at the moment. This was the one we launched last year to get kind of a feedback from the market. What do you think? It's something like this. Is it useful? Obviously the market said, look, any new data is useful. Anything to help with us, to give us the indicator. But we didn't just do that. Once we came up with the analysis, right, we went on the ground to meet valuers, property developers, agents, to see whether it made sense. Like TTDI shot up to be number 1, the most in demand, which made sense because a lot of people want to stay in Taman Tun, but there are not many developments out there. There are not many people, not many people who are willing to sell. Very similar in the sense of like Cheras and KLCC. When you say about the most visits or the most transacted, right, they always become number 1.
in terms of value or
in the sense of
quantity?
most quantity of people who are looking at KLCC, So agents, if it's one point of data, so everyone goes, oh, that means I have to sell in Mont Kiara, I have to get listings in Mont Kiara, because you're only looking at the visits. Then when we take the total number of listings and we divide it, it tells you that there's a lot more listings out there, there's a lot more listings out there than there are buyers. So if you do have a listing in there, trust me, you're going to take a long time to sell it. Because everyone thinks, oh, Mont Kiara is the place to be, I must sell, I said, you and the other 10,000 people as well, So a high demand area is a place where, there's less listings than there are less sellers than there are buyers. So if you do sell it out, the average days on market is really fast. That's a seller market. But Mont Kiara, it's not a seller, it's a buyer market. You know why? There's so many listings. So many options out there. You say that, 1,900,000. No, okay lah.
Go to the next one.
I go to the next one. I go to the next one. Not only the building, I got so many buildings, so many options, and all that. So that's a buyer's market. I control. The buyer controls it. If you don't want to sell, I can go to this person. Sooner or later, the seller will after 6 months, 7 months. Think about this. In that 6-7 months, who's paying the biggest price? Agent. He's holding, he's hoping, no, please, I need the commission, He's like, no, I don't want to sell. After a while, only they'll realize, okay, 100,000. He's asking to drop 300,000, no, try 20. 3 months later, 50,000. So this supply and demand data is one of those critical elements when you're analyzing buyer's market, seller's market. This is where iProperty's real-time data on listings and consumers will be able to help the market.
So so all these features, it's interesting because supply and demand. When you say that, it sounds so rudimentary, supply and demand, so easy. But when you slice and dice it, there's so many things that you can do. And this is helpful for agents, for the seller side of the spectrum. But how is iProperty, given the current situation right now, is helping? How can consumers benefit from the data? So if let's say if it's me, me as an example, right? So I'm looking for a property. Maybe like a second home for my family. What would I do? The question is, how can iProperty help me?
So iProperty today has, this is not something new. So we have been doing this for the last 4 years, where the biggest pain point for buyers, first-time home buyers especially, is price. It's pricing, In the sense of location and all that, iProperty doesn't give them indicators, this is the best place to stay and all that. Because when people ask me, Prem, where's the best place to buy? Right? Till today, I only answer one answer, Subang Jaya. And they go, really? Is it capital? I said, why? Because I stay there. And they go like, okay. I said, I'm sorry, that's where I live. I can't go and tell people this is the best place, especially when you're buying to stay. And when we did a consumer sentiment survey, right, the reasons why people buy in a location is because of milestones. The milestones are generally work and life.
Okay.
Marriage and all that. This is the reasons why they're buying, upgrading to a bigger space, which means they're getting married or having a kid and all that, or they bought because it's closer to work. It's closer to work. This is the top two. I forgot the percentage.
Oh wow. Based on your data.
Based on our sentiment survey we did with our consumers. Yeah. Not this is not data. This was a survey. A survey we did. And it was no surprise to us at all. We kind of knew it. There are a lot of people buying because of commute time and all that.
For convenience.
For convenience. That's why places like things like service residence, even though when they launched in Damansara, Damansara City, in Damansara Heights, where I got those days Damansara Heights 600,000, 700,000, but you get a studio you get a studio. But it's so like hotcakes.
Just the convenience.
Convenience, the address, I don't mind it's smaller a bit, but it's very central, And come on, there's coffee shop at the bottom, there's LRT and everything, they don't mind compromising that for the convenience of this, So that one we knew, So, but we don't go out and tell people buy Damansara City, that's not our scope of work, in the sense like we're not property. That's not our role.
You provide the information for people to make
a decision. I give you the information. You go and decide because we are a portal. We cannot be citing this one project. You are better than the other project. I mean, agents and developers will get pissed off. Everyone is equal, but
you
share.
have this thing where properties can advertise, right?
Yes. Yes, in the sense of like advertising them. Like in the sense of for marketing purposes, for prominence. They're on the first page.
But it's not a recommendation.
No, it's not a recommendation. So what we did was we understood things like accessibility and information like that is important. The second is, of course, am I overpaying? Am I buying something which is market price? Is this the market price? If I'm overpaying, just tell me why I'm overpaying. Because there are projects which are going to be a lot more expensive, but they'll tell you why. The swimming pool got crystal water or something, like something they will say.
Instagram-worthy.
Yes, correct. Okay, fair enough. View and all that. But there's a reason behind it. There's no reason behind it, right? Then you got to be really thinking twice on it. I'll give you an example. Like before Bricks was launched, everyone thought Mont Kiara average or median pricing per square feet was 1,000. Because that's what everyone was saying, When Bricks launched, they went and clicked Mont Kiara, right? Median pricing 600.
Wow. It was overpaying.
Really? Why am I paying 1,000? I don't know. Why am I paying? So obviously some people are not happy. But the reality is, when you buy something and someone tells you it's 650 ringgit per square feet. Oh, okay. You go into Bricks, 670 ringgit per square feet. Do you feel comfortable? To a certain extent, you know what?
Good deal.
Okay, if anything happens in the future, right? At least I'm with the market, right? Now you see, like what happened with Ampang, and 4 years ago, 3 years ago, every median pricing was 400. People were selling 800, 700, all that. Which at that time people thought, okay not a big deal. But when 2008, when the crisis hit and all that kind of things, all the pricing reverted back to 400. Everything was self-correcting. They always use this term self-correct, right? It self-corrects to the market price, what people are generally willing to pay. So the guys if you bought it at 700, 800, end of the day you have to bite the bullet and sell it at 400. Because that was the market price. So this was the information we wanted to provide clearly to the consumers. So that's why today when you see a listing in iProperty, remember Bricks? Bricks was a separate portal. We integrated Bricks data onto that page. So if you think about it, right, say there's a property listing in iProperty, right? So when you click on it, you're thinking of buying a unit in VSQ. You saw the listing, 1,000 square feet, X amount of price, right? The question is like, okay, is this a good price or not? Those days, right, they just refer to other listings and then try to sort by the cheapest, biggest unit, cheapest price, and all that. But today, when you look at the listing, right, if you scroll down, it shares or it also publishes past transactions for VSQ to give you that idea of pricing. Because end of the day, right, we want to give that confidence to that buyer to take that step. You know what, I'm going to contact that agent. To us, that's the benefit. Agent is our customers. We want to provide as much information to the consumer to give him that confidence, you know what, this is a right pricing. Those days, an agents will, they will price it at any price they want. But now they can't. You know why?
Like
I've packed the past transactions below that listing.
Yeah.
You try to put it, say if it's 1 million, right?
Yeah.
And you say, you know what, I'm going to try to put 1.3.
Who they can call now.
Because the consumers is scrolling now, say like 900, 950, right?
Yeah.
So the agents themselves are already going are taking caution on this and say, and you know what? Everyone said, Prem, when you do this, right, the agents are going to get angry and this. You know, guess what? None of that happened. They were really happy, which broke the myth about, you know, agents like to increase prices.
Yeah.
Eventually, I found out that most of the agents were not that way. They said like, thank you, because we are finding it difficult to convince buyers that was the right, you know, that was a good price, you know. So they were really glad that this information was there, because now they're getting more. If they can show the seller, sir, please, you know, it's 1 million, you know, you can't do 1.3, you know, I'm not going to get any leads, you know, I'm not going to get any inquiries and all that. The seller looks at the information. If he can convince the seller, okay, 1 million, right, he publishes that listing, he's going to get the calls. Because people are going to see their past transactions, 1 million, I mean 900,000, even better. So he will speak to the seller, so are you desperate? Do you really need the money? I say, yeah, my kid needs to go to college and all that. I recommend then maybe 900 or 1 million negotiable. Because they're going to see it's 1 million. If you can put it at 950, right, I can push it within 2 weeks or 1 week. So you see how data has played a role, where those days when you try to do this, right, most of the time they'll go like, but my neighbors are, and then habis. You know, the moment you say that, it's all hearsay and all that, right? It just never. So the agents are really glad that this data is available for them. But for consumers, right, they can't really see a lot of information. But we provide this detailed information to the agents via their subscription with iProperty.
Okay, so you mentioned subscription. Is that this iProperty Pro that you're talking about?
Yes. So iProperty Pro, it's the tool which we launched recently.
So it's for professionals, because
agents,
when it comes to devices, when it's Pro, it's for, you know, like the iPhone 11 Pro. Max is bigger.
Yes.
So is iProperty Pro like a bigger version of iProperty, or is it something else altogether?
It's actually more for our customers, for the agents.
So when you say customers, again, it's agents, the people who are selling, not the people who are buying, because that's their customers.
Correct.
Okay.
So you know, in any portal, right, especially marketplaces and e-commerce, right, you need to go to a place to add the listing, take pictures, and upload and all that. That's basically what it's an agent admin system. So we had this system for a long time. Then we kind of like like a shiny new car, it came in. So with any new car, right, of course the exterior must be nicer. So it's mobile friendly, it's faster, it's easier and all that. But as you know, when it comes to cars and gadgets, right, it's not just the shiny look, right? The engine, the features has to be supercharged as well. So what we did was to get what was really important to the agents at this point of time, right, was not virtual tours, because people were talking about Metapod, and 360, that kind of stuff.
Not the bells and whistles.
Not yet, because that's the adoption of that on buyers and sellers and all that. It's maybe one day, but MCO is in our face. We needed to do this now, like right now, And what we wanted to help with them was data, which is going to help them do business with us. That means think about the ROI. Times are bad. So iProperty launched this iProperty Cares. It was 3 installments of discounts, payment holidays.
For the Pro or?
No, for our agents.
Okay.
Which is included in the Pro as well.
Okay.
To help them with their business and all that. And even these packages, with this whole new tool and all that, there was no price increase. No price increase on the existing subscription.
So it's a subscription service.
And we added on these additional tools, reporting and insight tools. One of it, of course, was Bricks. So Bricks was already packaged in this. It's unlimited usage, so they can use it anytime to help with their what we call price negotiation conversations with buyers and sellers. Use Bricks. It has all the unit numbers in there. We have also has one what we call Home Report. Home Report speaks more specifically about a specific unit. It talks about this unit, which we're in here. Bricks talks about VSQ in general, right? But Home Report talks about this unit. That means it takes the unit's height into consideration if it's a high rise. It takes the unit's view into consideration as well, and gives you a more precise pricing. So it gives you a picture of like have you seen in developer sales gallery where they have this chart with all the floors and the units and all that, right? It auto generates that and gives you the pricing for each unit.
Wow.
and it tells you floor average and view average. So if you're facing the swimming pool, that's why it is 5% more. 10%. And we have done the analysis, it's true. If you face highway versus face swimming pool, are very different. Very different. But if you tell that to a consumer, they're not going to. They're going, no such thing, right? So we did a report, it's a 15-page report which auto-generates a PDF to help them further the conversation if the person is not convinced. Okay, now I can, and it also does comparison based on GPS coordinate, closest 1 kilometer radius, any other buildings with similar size. It gives you a comparison. So that to show people that this is, obviously if your unit is more expensive than the rest, the report's going to be in trouble. But it's okay because the idea is to set the expectation to the seller. So this, your pricing is 10% more than most of the area out there. Oh, don't show the buyer lah.
What do you mean don't show the buyer?
Don't show the buyer. Okay, fine, fine. But do you understand when we don't show this information, it's going to take longer. It's going to cost me time. I've got to open 10 doors instead of 1 door. And all that. Maybe you can think about price. This is how they have conversations. So this is more on the consumer side. But what we did was what I call the revolution tool, what we call market analytics. Today, if you do e-commerce, right? Every time you go to any e-commerce site, right? They say once you add the listing, right? They said buy premium. So you be on number 1, or feature your.
You just bump the listing.
Bump that up, buy the feature. No, that's true, right? And sales teams in this company will just tell you to feature, feature. Now we realize that if you keep on doing this conversation, right, the ROI for the agent is not going to be good because you just keep telling him to buy premium. But in some places, actually, you don't have to buy premium. Just a standard listing would bring you to the top. You don't have to do anything beyond that. The number of people who's viewing that listing is the same, even if you buy premium. Or you buy, why waste your money, buy premium, when you could have used that money on a place where you really needed the premium? It's highly competition. I'll give you an example at Mont Kiara. Every agent premiums the listing in Mont Kiara. If you don't have the money as an agent to list in Mont Kiara, we will tell the person upfront, please do not go into Mont Kiara.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was the idea of this tool. Now imagine dealing with 10,000, we got about 10 to 11,000 agents as customers. We can't be talking to each one of them, right? So I spoke to management and said, can we show this information to the agents? Can you imagine the faces? They were like, are you kidding me? Because I said the reason why is because think about ROI. We want them to stay with us. They got X amount of money. We're just going to tell them where to spend the money. I'm not telling them don't spend the money. I'm just telling them where to spend the money. If you're going to list in, say, Kuala Selangor, no need to buy premium lah. You add your listing already number 1 already. It's already the top 3 or top 4,
Of the 10 listings in Kuala Selangor.
Correct. Don't go, if the listing is not working, don't go and tell him buy premium. It's not working because no one wants to buy.
Because it's not hot.
Yeah, it's not hot. It's not because you got premium or feature and all that, right?
It doesn't guarantee you a sale.
So why tell him buy? So wanted to change that conversation and tell agents, you know what? I'm going to build you a tool. You just key in an area. It's going to tell you the demand for the area. It's also going to tell you what is the right product to buy. If whether premium, feature or standard. Just leave it as standard, so you know what to spend to expect. And we tell this person, if you don't spend this is the number you're going to get. If you go feature, you're going to be 2 times better. If you're going to go premium, it's going to be 3 times better or 10 times better. In some markets, if you go feature, 0 times better. Standard, that means I don't spend lah. Correct.
Which is good, like basically optimizing their ad
Correct.
spend.
Correct. So this is now real time. It checks the listings, the users, the supply. No, it comes back to supply and demand. It comes back to supply and demand. We integrated bricks data. We also put in pricing of like, you know what, if you go into this market, I'll give you an example of Mont Kiara. It tells you upfront premium. And the agent goes like, okay, you got how much? Sorry, by the way, oh, I got X amount of money. I said, okay, you try and see premium. It'll last you probably a day. I mean, you got thousands of agents in Mont Kiara. Everybody wants to sell in Mont Kiara. 555. I say, okay, but you must be prepared, right? Yeah. The next question they're going to ask is there enough sales in Mont Kiara to cover my premium or not? So I'm spending marketing money, right? We integrated bricks data. Now, average is about 45 transactions per month.
Wow.
Okay. Now, average in Mont Kiara, so okay lah, got chance. You got chance. And then we also included product specs. What is the best product for you to sell in Mont Kiara? You know, so it'll tell you 1,500 square feet if you get a easy. You know, 1.1 to 1.2 million. Majority of the people pay that price, right? If you're going to get a studio or a 5,000 square feet, just be wary that it's going to take a much longer. So we also advise in this sense. You know. So on that one page, they can make a decision whether I should go into this market or not go into this market. This is for new agents.
Yep.
So every time new agents come in, you know, the turnover rate for new agents is quite high because they think that KLCC Mong Kiara. They go there, right? Not realizing the competition. So now we tell them, we will guide them as a starting point. Why not you try these markets? Close some deals, you know, get some cash flow and all that. Then slowly, remember that 30%, that's 70-30? The 30% you want to do fine, but 70% try to get high turnover rate on. So this tool now is very receptive in the market because the agents are happy in a way that we are being, you know, I mentioned about transparency. So let's be transparent. Tell them how our products work and how efficient it is. You know. And the last one we launched was listing performance. You know, when you add a listing, right, we tell you you got 3 inquiries. The first question the agent will say, why so bad? I say, why? Only 3. Actually, that area only 1 in general. You know, you're like 300% better than the most.
It's kind of like big data.
Yes.
And telling them
Numbers meant nothing, right?
Yeah.
In some places, right, 10 inquiries is a joke. So little, you know. While some places 3 is like amazing, you know. So we wanted to create a report where when you post a listing, every day you can check the performance of the listing, and it compares all the other listings in that building. The other agents, and whether you are overperforming or underperforming. So at least it keeps them on the bar, like, you know, am I doing something wrong? Can I fix it? And all that. No. So these 3 or 4 data suite products, right, is where we are hoping that by implementing this, the agents, the buyers, and the sellers, right, will all benefit from this information. You know, I'm putting the agents in the right place. I'm giving them the tools and the data to bring it to the consumers. You know, the buyers and the sellers use this information to guide them, and hoping that the whole end of the day, right, when everyone buys, right, no one has this thing, I undersold, and the other guys, I overpay. You know, everyone believes that I've paid the market price. So this is
that's very helpful. Okay, so we're almost out of time. I think we have room for just one more question. Do you have anything to ask, Alex?
Okay, so let's say a first-time home buyer, what should they look out for? Any tips for first-time home buyers?
So first-time home buyers, usually they transit from renting. Right? So one of the things I wanted to inform you all that, you know, one of the questions that people ask is, are people renting more than buying, right? Staying. So in iProperty, right, roughly 56% to 60% of our users are looking for rental, while 40% is looking. So I would say there are more people looking for rent there are for people who are buying. And usually what they do is, not especially at the age of 23, you know, when they first started and all that, they are renting out because they are testing out, right? So I'm assuming, to answer your question, before you buy, right, you know the location really well, because if you're not staying there, you're not rented, and you're not been living it, right, I don't know why you're then buying it, because you need, you know, a lot of people do that, and I advise that you really be assured about the location, you know, that you really like the place, you know, and that's number one. So a lot of people tend to rent to get the vibe of the whole place and all that. Now once you've done that, right, the next step is to consider the monetary part of it. You know, in the sense of upfront money, you know, like nowadays you've got a lot of tools out there which tells you acquisition cost, how much, you know, monthly, how much, and all that, right?
The fees you have to pay,
the fees,
deposit.
Which are quite straightforward. Like, you know, nowadays a lot of people actually provide that tool out there, you know. And after doing all that, right, I've seen so many of these people, right, dreams get squashed because of one reason: credit score. So the one thing which I like to advise a lot of first-time home buyers is to keep a really good credit score. You know? And nowadays, all these companies like CTOS, Ramsey, and all that, everything's online. You pay 30 ringgit, you go to Ramsey or you go to CTOS, right? You pay 30 ringgit, you get a credit score. Email to you on the spot. Now, keep track of your credit score, because when you apply a loan and it gets rejected, Bank Negara is aware.
They keep a record of
They keep a record, 3 to 6 months. They won't keep it for lifetime. About 3 to 6 months. Now imagine, right, you saw a property and you didn't do anything and you just go apply lah. See lah, just try lah. Try my luck lah. Rejected, it's okay. Suddenly this one came. 20% below market.
Yes.
Even better. Oh, lucky I didn't buy. Let me go. Instant rejection.
Because you were rejected prior.
Correct. So say now in that 1 month period, right, your salary jumped by 200%. Say for some reason, I don't know why. Not Breaking Bad or anything, right? But then but basically, you jumped, and then this is, oh my God, it's so easy, right? Irrespective of your payroll
whether
changes,
you could afford it or not,
whatever, right? The
because
moment the bank punches it and says that rejected last month, they will just close everything and say, sorry. No, I got now my money. I have no problem. No problem. Sorry, rejected. Yeah, that was last month. So sorry, Bank Negara will not. So we had to edit. That's why last year iProperty, I'm not sure whether you heard about it. We launched this thing called Loan Care. Loan Care. We partnered with a fintech company, Finology, to come up with this concept of eligibility. Find out your eligibility before you apply.
So is that on iProperty?
It's on iProperty. Okay. It's called Loan Care.
Okay.
All right.
If you go in there, what we do is like when you punch in your information, your salary and all that kind of stuff, right? It then goes and checks with 17 banks on what are their interest rate and how much they're willing to borrow for you. So it gives you an idea whether you can afford this or not. Now, once you have done that, that is only one part. Is what we call financial credibility. Okay, you can afford it. And this at the bank. The reason why we had that is because we know every bank has got different quota, right? So this thing tells you in real time. The 17 banks, today could be CIMB, tomorrow it could be Maybank on top. They change, always, right? That's financial credibility. That's only one part. The other part is your own personal credibility. That means how well have you been paying and all that, which is the credit score, which you need to go and get from CTOS and Ramsey and all that. So my advice for them is to get all this in place and ready, because when that property appears in front of you, right? Please don't go. It's like, hey, I'm paying properly, right? Or am I eligible for this? You should know it at your fingertips. That my score is 85 and above, which is very good. If CTOS says, 85 and above, I checked my eligibility in the banks and all that. For properties below 500 to 600, I know bank A, B, and C very good. They like this area. Banks got different quota, different area, different quota, different timing. So it could be different timings, it could be different rates and all that. So always be on the lookout on which bank to go. Because $500,000 today, Bank A would have rejected you, Bank B would have given you a green light because their quota was slightly higher. So you should have known that. Loan Care will tell you that. Have that in your fingertips, ready anytime. The moment you find a place, be confident to actually take the first step. So that's my biggest, and of course, get the agent to advise on the pricing. Ask him to show bricks. Show me. There are people out there who are aware about bricks. They actually ask the agent, "Where's the bricks report?" Then the agent, I want. He knows his stuff. I want to see the bricks report. So please check the market price, the transacted prices, and. I mean, the part about the property part, I won't say much. Check the door and all that. The one,
because you need to do
that one you have to do it. People always ask me, is this building better than that building? I say, honestly, that one you really have to go in and see.
Because sometimes you can go to a really nice building and get a lemon unit where everything breaks down.
Yeah, correct. So my advice was more towards the factors which helps you end the sale. There are a lot of people at the beginning of the funnel never reach the end because they fail. There's a lot of things which fail in between, So that's why my advice was more on that part, to ease that part on the funnel, right? I don't want that person to have regrets that I lost that golden opportunity because I forgot to check this part. No. Get all this ticked, then go out and look for properties.
That's very useful tips.
Okay, well, I think we're out of time. I just want to say thank you, Prem, for coming over on the show and sharing with us all this really interesting information. I just want to summarize. So if you're like an agent, iProperty has this really useful tool that's really running on data, and they have scientists working on it. So situations are really uncertain right now, but it's good to have data to, put some degree of certainty, some degree of knowledge, and help you guys out. So check out iProperty Pro. That's available on iProperty. It's also available as an app, right?
Yeah, it's for app for agents.
Yeah. So you need to be a registered agent for that. But in general, as consumers, I mean, again, a lot of people are saying, yes, the times are kind of bad right now, but if you have some funds put somewhere and you're like really looking for a house, now might be a good time to go shopping. But before you go shopping, you might want to check out iProperty. They have information, tools, and you know, since you cannot go around so much, you can scout for properties there. So that's pretty much it. Anything else you want to say in summary?
I think we've learned a lot today about property, and also I think thanks Prem for giving us the tips of, you know, you need to do your own research before you go get the property you want. And yeah, so I think this changed what I know about property. Yeah.
All right, in 1 minute, anything, what would be your summary?
What's my summary? So my summary, probably I'll just end with the, like the government's, with the concept, they've come up with the Penjana stimulus package. HOC has been, reactivated back till June, till December 2020.
HOC is
home ownership campaign from the government. So with the addition of this tax exemptions, like stamp duty, there's no stamp duty,
zero fee, rebates, free, what's it called? The installments.
Installments.
Take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is the good opportunity. I mean, if you were looking out to get a property, right?
Yeah.
I think I foresee this as a short-term measure by the government. It is not going to be a long-term measure by the government that, don't worry, this is always going to be there.
It's a sale period.
Yeah,
so
they did.
time.
Yes, they are trying this out, but it's for new properties. It's for new properties. For sub-sale, they don't have any perks yet for the buyers, but for the sellers, they do have this no RPGT. So that's good in a way. But I foresee that they are just probably trying this out with the primary market. They might try it out later on with the sub-sale. At the moment, so just advise them to go out there, and see this place, because obviously there'll be good buys, but don't let discounts and all that fool you, because at the end of the day, with all these discounts and all that, what you're paying, is it the market price? I can put a price and say 50% discount. And then after when I see the price, still 10% more than market price. So it's like, it's a give. I mean, don't fall into that. Always check with the market prices.
Do your research.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, everybody. So before I end, if you enjoy the show, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like the show. We thrive on your comments and suggestions. Obviously, this is something new that we're trying out. If you think that we should bring somebody else on the show, please let us know. If you think that the information is useful, or if you have any questions, maybe I can get Prem to answer some of the questions on YouTube. And we're also available on podcasts, so we're on all of your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify or Stitcher or whatever it is that you're listening to, we're available there. Just search for Let's Talk About searchengine.com and we'll be there. If you're listening to us on podcast, be sure to give us a 5-star rating, because that helps us a lot in making this show better. All right, everybody, this is Amin.
And this is Alex.
And
Prem.
and thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you guys later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.